Hey everybody, welcome back to Airsoftology Mondays, the show that answers your questions, helps you out in a pinch, and is also preparing for the big show in Europe, IWA or IWA. Not sure what's the correct saying of that. Anyway, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jonathan Higgs, and that's right, this is the show here to answer your Airsoft questions. You have them? Put them down in the comment section below, and make sure to vote up those favorites, and I'll get them answered every single week. We also dig deep down into the comment section and do find some gems buried down there. So not always is it the top voted question that gets answered, but I do kind of focus on those a bit. This week I have a full show of questions. You guys have been asking for a little more meat, and I'm going to give it to you this week. Before we do that, hey, real quick, I'm going to show you a couple things. A little shameless self-promotion to get things going. I do have patches in the store. I've got the Tactic Corgis. I've got the Chinese New Year's. There's a few of these left. They're actually limited edition just for the Chinese New Year. It's the Year of the Dog, if you guys didn't know that. I've got a girl and a boy version. They even have a little tag on here that's Fool on the front, which is kind of a very traditional thing to have on the little collar. And then, of course, the brown Tactic Corgis, which is the color right now for this season. I'll be cycling the colors out. It was the green over here on my shoulder, and then we'll be moving on through. And just like that Christmas one back there, once they are gone, they are gone. I also got some logo patches, some other stuff there for you guys to pick up to help support the show. So, but enough of this commercial about what you can get here at the Airsoftology web store, linked below, of course. Now it's time to dive on into what you're really here for, and that's your questions in the Tippmann mail call. French Vanilla writes, hey Jonathan, I was wondering if impression kits were a big thing at Lite Milsim events, or is it fine to just show up in some matching camo? For instance, if you're using an AK, could you still just wear some Ranger Green BDU instead of going for a Russian kit? No, you're actually pretty fine. In fact, even at big Milsim games, I get this question a lot, and I've answered it a few times before for you guys who are always following the show. You don't have to be decked out head to toe in a $3,000 impression kit and look just like a certain branch of special forces from a certain time period. That's not a requirement. Usually at Milsim events, pretty much any of them, with the exception of Milsim West. That is a very different one here. But at Milsim, or as you say, light Milsim, which are kind of like, I call them diet Milsims, just to kind of be funny with it. Kind of like regional Milsim games that are put on that have some of the Milsim rules of the big promoters, but maybe aren't on the grand scale of them, like at huge military bases and things like that. All of these are the same. All of these you can pretty much get by with the color uniform that's required for your side, like I said, with the exception of Milsim West. And then whatever gun you want to run. I mean, if you're running NATO side, there's really no problem with running an AK. If that's all you own, if that's what you want to run, if that's the magazines you have, you can absolutely do it. There's no stigma. It's nothing bad about that at all. So yeah, if you've got the camo and you've got, or solid colors or whatever, and you've got a different gun and maybe things just don't quite mesh, you don't have to go out and buy Russian camo to get the Russian look. Just put out what you got and go, as long as you're following the uniform requirements, which will be stated when you sign up for the event. 70 Curly writes in with a correction from last week. Jonathan, you can use a Baofeng radio for GMRS or FRS legally unless you have a GMRS license, period. That is true. In fact, I did forget to mention that with all your even little bubble pack radios, you do have to have a GMRS, GMRS license, which is actually very easy to get. It's actually extremely easy, unlike getting your ham radio license, which requires a considerable amount of studying and a pretty lengthy test to take. The GMRS one is a lot less intensive to take. You can get those, and that is something you really should have, actually, based on the law. As far as I know, if you're operating within bands, I've never seen anyone really get in trouble for it. I mean, how many families do you know buy those little radios to talk with their family, use the frequencies, and then go, I should go get a license? I mean, but the letter of the law says you should. Also, something I didn't know from Stephanie, this is actually, by the way, a question from last week. It's a continuation, a correction from last week. Said that, and something I didn't know, that you cannot use a removable antenna with GMRS or FRS radio frequencies. And if you guys don't know GMRS and FRS, those are the frequencies set aside for kind of public use, really, for like radios. So when you buy I call bubble pack, those clear pack radios, like the Motorola's, the Midlands, the Cobra radios, you can buy in any big box store anywhere that lets you communicate with each other. So yes, you do have to have a license legally to operate those in the United States. And of course, you want to go outside those bands, you do legally have to have a ham license if you don't want to get in trouble. Again, that is the letter of the law on that. I did want to kind of clarify that. And thank you, Stephanie, for helping me out there. Donnell Wright writes, "Hey Jonathan, I was looking to buy a Madpole portable CO2 charger and one of the green gas shotguns that came out a little while ago. I was wondering if CO2 can be used in a green gas gun." Yes and no. Those like the Jag Arms shotguns, the green gas, kind of the Marui clones that hit the market about a year and a half ago, brought the price way down. Actually, they just re-released version 2 under the Jag Arms brand in the United States, under Jag Arms, which distributes Echo One. Not at full power. CO2 is around 800 psi or pounds per square inch. Green gas is about 135 pounds per square inch. You will very quickly wear out those seals. I don't think those guns are rated. In fact, I'm pretty darn sure, I'm not going to test it to break one, but I'm pretty darn sure that you're probably not a good idea. Now, when you're talking about the Madpole CO2 charger, if you guys don't know what this is, you take the little silver 12 gram, looks like a little cartridge, and you put it in this little black device, you screw it on, I've got one, and you screw it in there and it gives you a fill valve so you can fill up the CO2 powered grenades is what it was designed for. So you could really launch things really far. I used it to launch Nerf footballs out of my M203 grenade launcher. It gives the full power. Those special CO2 rated grenades have all the valves and everything in there rated for that full 800 PSI. But Madpole also makes one that you can adjust the pressure. You can turn the power down. So if you get that, you turn it down to about 135, 140, you might be able to squeak by with a little more juice and not overblow those seals. Again, that's up to you. You can do that. You absolutely can do it. And as long as you dial it down. So make sure to invest in the one that has the adjustable dial on the side where you can actually turn it up and down. Then it will put the right amount of power in your gun. Remember, if you are using CO2, to add some oil with each fill, a couple drops there on the air nozzle, like one drop, fill it up, good to go. Make sure to pick that up along with it. Silicone oil, not petroleum based. You don't want to put petroleum based oil inside of your airsoft gun. That's bad. It'll mess up the hop up and all kinds of things. So yeah, you can. But if you're going to use the one that's a little cheaper, or the ones I've seen, the knockoff, the other versions of them that are out there everywhere, you just put it in and fill it directly off the 12 gram. Nope, way too much power. You're probably going to mess up your gun pretty quickly. Striker1 writes, "Hey Jonathan, this is a bit of a darker, serious question. Do you think gun control could affect airsoft? I don't know how you feel about discussing politics, but let's just say AR-15s are banned. What would that mean for our M4 and M16 platforms?" Obviously, more to this question. Didn't want to dive too deep. I think right there's enough to kind of discuss. This is something very serious. For those of you who live in the United States, this is a topic I've been watching. I've seen just every post on Facebook seems to be about gun control and banning. I do believe that every time there is an instance of gun violence, any kind of firearms ban brought up in the United States, it's almost counter what happens in other countries. Airsoft is extremely popular in countries where firearm ownership is not allowed or extremely limited. That is typically the norm in those countries, unless you run across a country like Australia where there's a mass ban. I know things are shifting there, hopefully a little bit for Australia for airsoft, but you look at things like that where airsoft may be allowed but guns are not. I do think in the United States, it's almost opposite because the players are younger, typically. They're not my age. They're not some of the older players. I'm not sure the age of what your age is watching, but if you're under the age of, let's say, 16, the purchase decision, well, if you're under the age of 18 legally, the purchase decision is your parents. I think the average age of an airsofter, I would guess, going to airsoft games is maybe 13, maybe 14 years old in the United States. Outside it is well north, well higher than 18. Whenever there's gun violence, you see airsoft get affected. Purchasing does slow down. It does stop. And I think whether or not there's an AR-15 ban, airsoft as a sport and hobby gets hurt every time there is an incident like this. Parents say, no, I don't want you owning that. It's too risky to be outside to use this. There's the fear and the stigma of a gun. I think that unfortunately it's very effective. Now, if there is a ban on AR-15s, I think right now there's a separate law in the United States for air rifles, air guns, and things like that. I think there probably won't be an effect. I think if there's a long-term ban, you'll see airsoft eventually turn back up. I think you'll see older players pick it up, and I think you'll see people who have that. Personally, I don't see a very hard ban of AR-15 rifles or semi-automatic rifles being instituted across the United States. Again, that's just my opinion, but who knows what could happen with the Congress and voting and things like that. But Do I see it affecting at first? Yes. I think it'll have a big problem. I think you're going to see people fight for it. I think you're going to see people want to keep it. I think it definitely will affect Airsoft. I think it's already affecting Airsoft even without that ban. So I know it's a long answer to a very complicated question, but I want to get your guys' thoughts on it too. I want to kind of put my opinions and thoughts out there. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think Airsoft could be affected? Could it be banned if semi-automatic rifles like AR-15s, M4s, M16 style weapons have restrictions or are banned outright? Remember, we're talking about when they talk about the weapon is banned, it's just a low receiver. California's seen some massive restrictions on AR-15 style weapons of late. In fact, you gotta do some crazy things just to have them, like all these special modifications. But Airsoft seems to still be alive and well in California. It seems to be kicking even with the Airsoft tape-up rule. You know, we have to tape up the gun. So I don't know. I want to know your guys' thoughts. That's really what it comes down to. So let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that's it for questions this week, which means it is time for the Code Red Headsets video recommendation of the week. And this one is one who's actually answered a few of his questions here on the show, but I've never highlighted his channel, and I felt like, at least I don't think I've highlighted his channel. By the way, this is 179th Monday video, so sometimes I lose track of what I've done. And by the way, this is the 700th video on the channel. I just realized that. 700th video I published here on the channel. This one comes from PhoenixFeatherAirsoft. I've answered a few of his questions here in the past handful of months. Has actually a really good channel, a lot of Milsim events, things like that going on, and a solid subscriber count, like just hovering short of 5,000 at this point, 4,821 to be exact. And this one is a kind of a self-promoted. Remember, I ask for video recommendations every week and put yours down there below. And he's talking about his first time on a helicopter, slinging plastic. He's at a Milsim event here in the United States. They have a real little bird set up there with the benches on the side and everything. I mean, I've flown in a helicopter, but I've never been on one that had the benches on the side. Very long video, 18 plus minutes, shot more vlog style. I kind of like the change. Like usually Milsim games kind of follow like this, put the blinders on and go down the path. Everybody kind of follows the same formula. I like this hybrid vlog. I'll put links to the video down below. Of course, you guys want to check it out. It's over my shoulder here going as well. Also to the meaty part, the good part with the gun runs in there. If you guys didn't know this, when you're up in a helicopter, because I've done this a couple times, been up in a helicopter, you would think the blades affect the BBs and they just dropped it. Nope. You can shoot right through it. There's no rotor issues. I don't understand the physics. I'm not a physics expert, but I will tell you this, they go right on out. You do have to trail your target though. I've noticed if you're moving forward this way, instead of just firing at your target, you want to fire a little behind because the BB is traveling the same direction you are. So when you shoot it out, it's going to kind of go with you a little bit. So I've noticed you have to kind of shoot behind the target. At least that was my experience when flying this way. You're shooting at a target directly off the side of the helicopter, down below you to trail it to get the target. Of course, the helicopter hovers. Let them have it. You know, it's straight on target, put the sights on, pull the trigger. It's pretty impressive. It's really impressive up there to be able to hit your targets. Extremely accurate, actually, surprisingly. Anyway, enough of that. If you guys want to check it out PhoenixFeatherAirsoft's channel. And if you like what you see over there, mash that sub button and let them know I sent you. All right, guys, gals, that is it for this week. As always, thank you for joining the conversation here. And I want to hear what you guys think, especially about that big hot topic about gun control and the effect of Airsoft. Do you think Airsoft's going to be banned? I want to know your thoughts and opinions on that. I know we all have different opinions. Keep it civil down there. No big nasty arguments. We all are entitled to our own opinions and things. So please kind of keep it cool like you always do down in the comment section. Don't forget to put your questions down there for next week. And also don't forget to put your video recommendations of a video or a channel you love that's Airsoft or something kind of cool related that you would love to see highlighted here on the channel. I'm always about making sure to give back to the community. Oh, by the way, before I go, thank you so much. I forgot to tell you this. Third year in a row for best Airsoft video channel voted by you at Airsoft, Popular Airsoft Awards, Viewer Choice Awards, or I can't believe it. I mean, seriously, thank you so much. 3 years in a row. I'm going to keep doing this. And again, as long as you guys keep watching, I'm going to keep putting these videos out. And I really am. I'm ultimately humbled by your votes and support to make that happen. Third year in a row. Thank you so much. So anyway, until next week, go out, have some fun, play some Airsoft, keep being cool. But no matter what you do, call your freaking hits.